Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken not given, joined by always. Fuck, that's 2 days in a row. I messed up the intro. This is like some weird oh god, this is odd. All right. Ladies and
It's a
gentlemen.
full moon is what it is.
Yes, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's weird.
Full moon.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken not given, joined, as always, by John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics and returning guest, Cannon's Fodder. How are you doing today, my friend?
Brain dead, but I'm here.
Yeah. Well, it's at least two of us. I was going to say, that's at least two of us right there. So we have a lot of topics to go over today. And I would have to ask you guys to forgive me because I am calling an early audible on this because I just... I saw this and I had to talk about it. I had heard something about this, but hadn't really gone into a lot of detail on it. Did you guys hear about the workers who died at that factory, that Impact Plastics factory, a couple of days ago during the hurricanes?
No.
Oh no, bro! I was in that hurricane, so I didn't hear a lot of other.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, true. Yeah. So, well, all right. So. It was in Tennessee, and I'll put the story right here because I have an article and a video that I absolutely had to share with everybody. And so let me get this off the ground right away. Okay, so the headline is family of factory worker who died in Helene flooding files wrongful death suit against employer. The East Tennessee company that saw at least 5 of its factory workers swept away in flooding from Hurricane Helene now faces a lawsuit from the family of one victim asking for at least $25 million. The wrongful death suit was filed Monday against Impact Plastics CEO Gerald O'Connor. Impact Plastics, led by Mr. O'Connor, chose greed over the safety of its workers, the complaint states. The deaths caused by Hurricane Helene's flooding were not just tragic, they were entirely preventable. The lawsuit was filed by the family of Johnny Peterson, who was working at the factory September 27th, shortly before the storm pushed the river over its banks, turning the area and the around the factory into rushing rapids. In all, 11 plant workers were swept away by the floodwaters and only 5 were rescued. Wow. Peterson and 4 other employees were found dead after fleeing the factory and being swept away. One worker, Rose Andrade, is still missing. We are still actively searching for her today. The search and rescue told CNN email on Wednesday. The lawsuit adds crucial details. So, yeah, it's basically what it sounds like, that the hurricane was coming. The factory said, no, we're staying open. Get your ass to work. And people died as a result of it. So, already pretty bad, right? I mean, you don't think that it's not a whole lot of complications here. But amazingly, the CEO of Impact Plastics released a statement, and I have got to show it to everybody here. This is just
my eyes just went wide because I can only imagine.
Right? It is incredible, and I've got to let you guys. I'm not even gonna add commentary. We're just going to let this roll that beautiful bean footage. Let's get to this.
I'm Gerald O'Connor, founder and president of Impact Plastics in Erwin, Tennessee. Due to death threats against me and my family, and to reduce the stress on local law enforcement that now needs to be focused on recovery operations, I'm with you by this video. The flood of September 27th took from our Impact Plastics family some great employees. One was a personal friend of more than 30 years of working together. We are heartbroken, as you are, about our loss and will keep those who have now passed in our hearts forever. Following that day, I ordered an immediate review of the events and the timeline of what occurred that morning, beginning as soon as the last surviving employees and a count of those who are missing were addressed. With help from the National Guard, we were able to help secure the rescue 5 of our employees by helicopter. Today, we share that preliminary report with the public. The findings are that employees were told to leave the plant at least 45 minutes before the gigantic force of the flood hit the industrial park. There was time to escape. Employees were not told at any time that they would be fired, if they left the plant. After checking to make sure everyone was out of our plant and to rescue important files, I was one of the last people to leave the plant and luckily escape. To our knowledge, no one perished while on company property. My company will cooperate fully with the inquiries from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and the Tennessee Occupation and Health Administration in days ahead. For now, our focus is on our employees. Thank you for your hard work as we all try to recover from this tragedy. I fell in love with Irwin and the people back in 1987 as a home for Impact Plastics. My plan is to build back our business in this town that I love as quickly as we can and offer good jobs again to the people who live there.
All right, so I'm going to throw it to Kathy first here. I just want to put one comment in here that always suspicious whenever your CEO refers to your job as a family. That's always the dead giveaway that something's gone terribly, terribly wrong, and they are out to screw you more than you would even guess. What were your thoughts after hearing that that amazing statement? I'm sure that's going to cover everything up for him.
You see the scribbles. Okay.
Oh, good. Yeah, great.
Oh, like the fire burning in my little like Liverpudlian soul right now. Okay. Important files over 5 employees. Like important files. I want to set him on fire. Okay. So the first thing I wrote down was he looks like a Gilded Age goon.
Oh, he does. He does.
Okay?
This
like
Tammany
a
Hall ass
cartoon.
motherfucker.
Exactly, like a political cartoon from the 1890s, right there. Which appropriate because
it's
that's
honestly surprising he wasn't wearing a top hat. Like he looked like a dude who would have rocked a top hat.
I had that thought when I was. I had the exact. I'm like, where's the fucking monocle, right? Like down to the double chin on only one side of his face. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that man, and I don't even know his name.
Boss Nast. He's gonna be. That's who he's gonna be. We might as well go with that. We're gonna throw
Only
it to John.
nerds lauged at that. You know,
hey, only cool people laughed at that. It's so
true. We had friends in high school. That's 100% true.
The books, our degrees keep us warm at night.
I had so many dates, like so many.
He also. When you're ever saying the last surviving employees, also not a good sign. Whenever you got to utter that phrase, that's also a pretty big red flag. And Jesus Christ,
I was among the last to escape. Like motherfucker, fuck
oh,
up. Like, I'm gonna
yeah,
stab you in the face.
I don't even believe he was there. I don't believe he was there at all. Yeah. And I also want to say the balls that this guy has to say, we told them 45 minutes before the flood hits that they wouldn't. Oh, you got it written down. They wouldn't get fired if they left. Like, it's like what? Okay, it's. Oh my, John, go ahead. Take it away. I know.
There are so many sentences in that statement that are dead giveaways.
Yes,
this guy is guilty. Like there's so many. In fact, like this is why you should hire PR. Because someone wrote out every sentence of that statement
and approved it,
and approved it, and they wrote out the sentence. No employees perished on company ground.
Oh, I know
like, that's a good thing to have our CEO saying on camera and intentionally put out. Like, oh my God!
While playing the victim himself, I lost a friend.
I lost a friend. Oh
you
my God.
are the reason you lost a friend, sir.
So it's not just this specific company and circumstance. This shit happens all the time. Where, technically, we didn't say people would be fired if they left. And anyone, and this is the thing that just blows my mind, how people still get away with this shit. It's like, we've all worked for companies.
Yep.
We all know that you can't just leave without permission. It doesn't matter if they say you'll be fired. The implication is always you will be fired, or at the very least disciplined. So unless it's kind of like a consent, unless you get an enthusiastic yes, you're staying at the fucking company. You're not leaving. The company needs to provide enthusiastic get the fuck out of here. in order
I like
for
that.
the employees to leave.
Enthusiastic, get the fuck out of here.
Exactly. And if they did that
Enthusiastic.
45 minutes prior, first of all, they didn't do that. You know how I didn't know they didn't do that? Because claims he's one of the last people to leave. First of all,
Yeah,
one
exactly.
of? What the fuck you mean you were one of? And like what captain leaves people on his ship before he goes down with it, you motherfucker?
Mhm.
Second, like 45 minutes. Are you
45
freaking
minutes.
kidding me?
45 minutes. I know.
45 minutes. I wouldn't have had him come into work that day. There's a fucking hurricane.
That's yes. Why are they working the day the hurricane hit? What was so goddamn important that you needed to squeeze another 5 hours out of these people and give them 45 minutes to race out of work, hunker down at home, make sure their family is safe? Oh yeah, that's plenty of time. I'm sure you all live right across the street. I'm sure it's going to be perfectly okay. I just the time to escape. He not only did he say, I told them to leave 45 minutes before the flood hit. He said everyone was given ample time to escape. Clearly not. Clearly not. Everyone was not given it. And I'm also
he's literally victim blaming.
Yes,
Like, well,
yes.
I'm sorry these people are too
100%.
stupid to leave. That's literally what he said.
And
After we told them they couldn't.
yeah, no, right. And when Kathy, when you repeated the statement that or John, which said that no one died on company grounds, I actually hadn't thought about this until just now.
I'm sorry,
because
no. I want to be very specific. He didn't say no one died. He said no one perished. No one perished on company. That made it worse for me.
Yeah,
Drop the SAT word, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was that it was a flood. Their bodies were carried away. So I was wondering, it's like, because when I first heard that, I thought, oh, they got caught in the flood trying to get away. But no, it doesn't necessarily mean that, because if you were caught in the flood on company grounds, your body would wash up miles away in the flood. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it is amazing what we let companies get away with, like what we let bosses, like the fact that this is even legal actually it's probably not. Honestly, that's why the lawsuit, the wrongful death lawsuit and everything. Mm-hmm. And I look, God bless those families trying to get that $25 million. They should get the company. Honestly, the company should belong to them now. Split it up amongst those 5 families, because the fact that this is allowed to happen is just monstrous. Now, I've known, well, Kathy, you can speak to this a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So people who work in areas that are hurricane prone. So I knew someone in Houston once, and she worked at an aviation company. Like they plan routes for aircraft. And so they needed to work during the hurricane because, just because they're shut down doesn't mean the whole airline industry is. So they essentially just moved the business to a more secure location, like the necessities. It was like a hotel or something, because hotels are very stable for hurricanes. And they moved there, and they've paid for their hotel fees, and they stayed there for a week while the hurricane hit, and they could still work. And like, what have you seen stuff like that in areas that are hurricane prone?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like that's like, to those of us, like that's why I wrote down 45 minutes with just exclamation points, because it's those of us who live through hurricanes a lot. Like, you notice how like Floridians reacts to hurricanes very differently. Like, it's not a Cat 3, I don't give a fuck, right? Like, I'm gonna play outside, like I'm gonna stand in the hurricane and go roar, like we do that for real. Yeah. Like you haven't lived until you've shotgun a beer in hurricane winds, just so you know. But that's why we're the way we are. But so like, so to us, like that sounds even more absurd, right? Because 45 minutes is not enough time to pack up the things you need to take with you to evacuate, let alone evacuate, right? And even if it was, even presuming that like they had their cars packed up and ready to go in 45 minutes, okay, go. Do you know what traffic looks like before a hurricane?
Oh, God.
Like, traffic is so bad before a hurricane that sometimes like they always cancel tolls because they just want like any fucking road you can find, use it. I don't care. Like, you just go, right? I've seen hurricanes like during Irma, since the entire state had to evacuate, they closed down the southbound lane essentially and opened it for northbound traffic. So they just opened the entire highway and said, get the fuck out, okay, and go that fucking way, right? And that is what we all kind of did. So I heard 45 minutes, and like I think that is his grand jury indictment. He just like wrote, recorded, and released to the public what the prosecutors will play in that wrongful death. I don't think it's I don't actually know. because I'm stupid. But like, they're just gonna play that in front of a grand jury and be like, "What do you think?" And they're gonna be like, "Yeah, go, that's good, we're good." Just convict him. You want us to be on that jury too? We'll just skip a lot of like processes here. Just send some fucker away.
We'll save the state of Tennessee a lot of time here. Let's just clear this up, right?
And they need the money for other things right
exactly.
now.
Oh yeah, this is, I don't know. I saw that literally like a couple hours ago, and I had to share that because with you guys, because that was just some.
Yeah.
Before we close out, I just have to say, maybe if I was that, this is why I don't understand like rich people, right? Like if I owned a plastics company, like I gotta have money in the bank,
Yeah.
right? And I'm that old, and I look like the fucking satanic spawn of a walrus and a lima bean, and 6 of my employees die in a massive flood, I'm just done. Like, he's just like, you know what? I have the company. I'm done. I'm good. I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this anymore.
Yeah.
That's my retirement. I cannot believe this guy's like, you know what? I want to rebuild. What the fuck? Rebuild your face, bro.
Yeah.
It's hurting.
Yeah, Kathy and I were talking about that right before you hopped on,
literally.
John, about personal vanity and how big part it plays when you do social media all the time, and how I'm not above it at all. I take a lot of care, and we were talking about how a lot of creators, I'll hear them say something like, "I don't really care how old I look." Well, good for you. I absolutely do. I care a lot about how I look. I care a great deal. So I'm sure your medal is in the mail for being a better person than me, but my vanity means quite a bit. So if I had, I should look up the net worth of this guy and find out how much money he has. But that's a good point.
His name?
I don't know. Let me see.
That's right.
I X'd out of the thing, but I'll look it up. But it's Impact Plastics CEO. If you want to see if you can Google his name, find who he is. But if I had, untold millions. Gerald O'Connor, untold millions and millions of dollars. There's no way I'd look like that. I wouldn't look like a human
Right?
Porky Pig. There's no fucking chance at all. I would at least try. So like, what might happen with me is that I'd put a lot of money into my appearance, but all the money would make me really lazy. So you know how like Elon Musk, we'll get to him probably into the show, but Elon Musk, he used to have like, he was balding and he looked all goofy and shit. Now he's got the hair plugs, good call. But he's also was insecure that he was a really frail guy. So he was clearly taking testosterone or HGH, but he doesn't work out. So he has a weird like block shape to his body. That's like the worst case scenario for me, where I would take the medicine but not actually put in the work. But I certainly wouldn't like that dude. I don't care if I was 100 years old. Did you find out his net worth?
I'm looking. Like there's not like it'll be on the internet soon.
He's not big enough. He's not famous enough.
Okay.
Give it a few hours though.
Okay, yeah, we'll find out. Well, so all right. Anything you guys want to add to that? I just threw a curveball to you there. No one got to read up on it, but
the one thing
I think we all know who he is.
Yeah. Do you ever see like when it says like, oh, this video from however many years ago, before you were like big, and you're just like, oh my god, why didn't I fucking like shave before?
Oh Jesus,
I look awful. I can't believe I used to put this out there,
man, all the time. Every time like TikTok loves to torment me by showing me on this day in 2022 or something. I was like, God, I can't believe anybody watched this shit. I can't believe a single soul sat through 5 seconds of this. I even saw one. So I don't know if you remember this, Kathy, but YouTube is expanding its shorts to 3 minutes or something like that.
I know are posting there. Well, yeah, they're phasing it in.
Yeah, I still can't do it, but I was looking at some of my old videos on TikTok and going through and everything to just transfer them over to easy, do some easy work for myself there. And I found one from last year that did really well. It's like, man, like those pauses and those gaps, I sound all robotic and shit. So even going back a little time and seeing like your performance improve has been pretty good, but I don't know, man. Okay.
It's weird. It's weird.
Little inside baseball for our fans.
A little bit. I'm sure. I know. This is the shitty part. This is actually, John and I talk about the best thing about this show is that we get to talk to other content creators because you don't get to do that really in your day-to-day life. Not generally. I mean, you may happen to know someone who does it, but probably not. So being able to, talk about the little issues you run across and the complaints you have that nobody else would care about, let alone listen to, is pretty. Or yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You have all these people following. I know. Okay. All right. Fine. You don't want to say it and shit, but all right. Which one should we hop to next, John?
Let's see. We got Elon. We got Israel. Let's get Israel out of the way.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do
And
it.
also, since
Yeah,
there's
let's
been,
get Israel out of the way because
That's we always try to do that. Actually, we always do
really?
try to do
we,
that.
we
yeah.
never want to end on Israel because it's
Yeah.
Well,
always
no,
really
I know.
depressing
It's just
note
kind
to
of like
end on.
if only, you know what I mean? Like
I
you know,
know.
you make it sound so simple.
So literal. So we got a round of applause from Heather. We appreciate. Kyle says hi and perfect
Kyle.
timing. Yeah, let's go.
There you go. Welcome, Kyle. All right, let's talk a little bit of Israel. So when TJ and I set the topics yesterday, no one had been killed yet, or at least no leaders of any groups had been killed. And so we were going to talk about how the U.S. State Department issued a warning to Israel, kind of saying, hey, we're not going to stop sending you weapons, but like maybe we might have to. So I don't know, maybe let some aid into Gaza. And that kind of reversed Israel's course, and they started letting some aid into northern Gaza, which would have been a really interesting story to talk about, of how all of the people who say, oh, well, Biden can't actually influence Bibi Netanyahu. I know, yes, he can. Even just hinting that it might happen got him to change course. But then today, it is reported that Hamas's leader, I should have had his name up. Is it Yahya? Is that how we pronounce his name?
No.
I don't know. We're going to call him
I've never
Sinwar.
figured out how. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But he was killed. And the way in which he was killed, I don't know, guys. Have you guys read like what happened?
No, what happened?
No, all I saw was the headline because, like I said, grading hell.
So it wasn't a like targeted strike. It wasn't based on intelligence. He was just in a house that 19-year-old IDF soldiers were walking by. A firefight ensued, and they killed him. And they didn't realize it was him until afterwards. They just randomly killed him.
Really?
That is what is being reported. Yes, which is so fishy. Like, this
yikes,
whole
it's true.
thing smells to high heaven, because apparently he'd been missing for a little while. He'd been incommunicado, and then all of a sudden it's just, oh, we killed him. And these random 19-year-olds did it, and it smells to high heaven. I don't know what the conspiracy theory is, but there is like just so much fertile ground for conspiracy theory here, because it is kind of crazy. I don't think this actually does anything. Like, I don't think this changes a single thing, but it is one of those events that could change things, maybe. I see TJ's pulling something up here.
Yeah, I was going to pull up this article talking about a drone video shows Sinwar's final moments. The Israeli military says Israeli Defense Force spokesperson Daniel Hagari played the video in a news briefing on Thursday. The edited clip shows a drone going into a damaged building where a person who the IDF says is Sinwar can be seen sitting on a chair. The figure's body is positioned away from the drone, but they appear to be looking toward the unmanned craft. The person's face is obscured and they appear to be sitting alone. Hagari and Sinwar have been shot in the hand as the edited IDF video points to his hand. The video shows the figure holding what the IDF highlights as a piece of wood, which the person lobs in the direction of the drone. Israeli says the drone later discovered Sinwar's body in the rubble of the building, which was struck by an Israeli tank on Wednesday. Only after sending in soldiers on foot did the Israeli military identify the man as a Hamas leader. Yeah, it doesn't say why this took place, like why they were scoping out.
Yeah, so what I just said, I got from an article by Axios. And I'll pull it up. I had it up here somewhere. Of course, now I'm completely missing it.
This is ripe territory for a Kathy conspiracy. You know that we got here.
You've seen me scribbling.
Yeah, this is right up her alley. What's John? But no,
that's what I'm always doing when I'm staring off doing nothing. What I'm doing is I'm writing down my brain. Like,
does it bother you that so many conspiracy theorists are fucking stupid? Because conspiracies can be really fun. They can be really so fun and so
like
interesting.
My Kate Middleton one was rock solid. Like, I know it was bullcrap, but it was so fucking good.
So this is what I had read from Axios, that an infantry unit of 19-year soldiers were on a routine patrol in the area, exchanged fire with 3 armed militants and killed them. It was a coincidental encounter that wasn't based on intelligence. The soldiers realized they might have killed the most wanted person in the Middle East only after looking at his body. So that's a little different than what CNN is reporting. Kind of confusing. I kind of just trusted the source there.
Well, I mean,
and I trusted the source. I mean, very much didn't trust what was being said, but I trusted at least that part was true.
I mean, it could.
That's what Israel was claiming. Ever since Israel told me the calendar was a list of fucking terrorist plots.
Yeah,
I don't believe a goddamn. I never really believed a goddamn thing they say, but that was kind of the end of any belief of anything they said.
Yeah,
but, like it's weird, TJ. It's weird.
Kathy, what you got for us? What you got?
So many things. To the nerds out there, shout out to Sun Tzu, Art of War. Okay, because I have a conspiracy theory. So everyone, buckle up.
Let's go. Let's go.
Okay. I'll open with. Did either of you watch The West Wing? I assume you did because you're nerds, right?
No. Well, I'm not a nerd, so I didn't watch it. I wouldn't know what that
says the man in the Umbrella Corporation t-shirt.
But no, I haven't.
Tell me you're kidding. Tell me you're kidding. Tell me you're kidding.
No, I really haven't watched The West Wing.
Oh my god,
yeah,
that needs to be remedied immediately. Like that is your homework.
Bye, guys.
I will grade you. No, like I'm not even kidding. Like there are episodes of The West Wing I have incorporated into my class because there's such good representations of concepts of government. Like, like the kids get all excited. I'm like, we're watching a TV show, and then I hand them a worksheet, and they get mad.
No,
it's great. It's great. But there's an episode in The West Wing where they plan an assassination of a foreign leader that they don't want to have responsibility for, but they need to happen. And that, I think, is what just happened. So what I wrote down, and I'll just kind of go in the list of how my brain dumped this out so you can see where I'm going. I wrote, Sinwar is dead. We have a lame duck, unpopular president. Now, beloved to history, most likely. This is a yikes, but true, but likely a CIA hit. Then I do the Abdul Sharif episode of The West Wing, and I go, the two stories go together. So, John, your story about the 30 days before we have to, stop sending you weapons, so let some aid into Palestine. Pretty please, right? And the next day, a random assassination of the guy we've been looking for all along, 3 weeks before or 20 days before the election. That I'm sorry, you're not going to convince me that this was anything but a CIA hit. This was literally BB. Listen, I got nothing to fucking lose, right? And I will happily blow the shit out of people. So you can do this, and I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll finish your fucking war. I'm going to go kill this motherfucker for you. You're going to let the aid into Palestine, and it's going to look like I ended this motherfucking war 3 weeks before Americans go to the polls. Suck my dick.
I kind of have to concur with that being the most likely. That sounds a hell of a lot more likely than a bunch of 19-year-olds randomly walked into his house and shot him. That seems a lot more likely.
When you think about it like a chessboard, I'll move this piece, you move this piece, and you move this piece, right? Everyone's starting to talk about Donald Trump as a lunatic. BB's been using the war to get Donald Trump elected. That's looking less likely. Kamala Harris just wiped the floor with Fox News, essentially, right? Nail coffin.
I love this. I actually love this. Because look, what we were saying, the conflicting narratives. Odd. First off, so I understand with fog of war, news is hard to spread sometimes, but this happened less than 20 or fewer than 24 hours ago, and you already have two different stories. I guess supposedly they could converge because you could have an infantry unit that had an armor division, like a tank that happened to be there. That could happen, and maybe this is one part of each story. But the fact that there's two major coincidences at the same time, not possible. There's no chance at all that they just happened to find Sinwar the day after Biden puts out the 30 days honestly, I was upset at the 30 days because you didn't need it. I was going to read a statement by CARE. CARE was like, well, why do you need 30 more days? They've already proven what they're going to do. Just stop the aid now and threaten them. But this does make more sense if Biden or whoever is like, hey, we're going to, act on our own accord anyway. But the fact that they find this guy the day afterward and that, Oh shit, what was the other one? That happened the day after, and it was a major figure at the same time on the same day after the initial threat. Yeah, there's no chance that happened. There's no chance at all. I kind of like this. What do you think?
I have an addendum.
Let's go.
Because to your point about how the two stories might go together as pieces, because things usually break in pieces. I think that could be correct. I think perhaps yesterday or a day before, in one of these Israeli strikes that happens every 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
They probably hit a building that hit, like they took him out, right? They probably realized they took him out. And it was probably American intelligence that, like, because we share intelligence, right? So America knew he was dead the second Israel knew it was dead. That's the bilateral military arrangement that we have, right? So Biden put like, here's what we do. I was like, because it's very likely that Kamala Harris is going to be replacing me in a couple of months. So this is how it's going to play out. You understand, right? Put him in some rubble, because you said that one article said he was found in some rubble after they just realized. So I think maybe a drone strike hit the building. They realized he was in there. So they staged some bullshit. These kids happened upon him. So they kill some random Palestinians, because that's not exactly out of character for them. And they put the two things together, and Biden releases the whole, we're giving you a 30 days notice. And the next day, oh, look, we're done all of a sudden. Yay.
That's great too.
I'm just like
I'm
imagining myself like in like the situation room, right? And it's just like, wait, you're telling me that our indiscriminate killing of random Palestinians actually killed the terrorists? Are you like, that wasn't the goal at all? But what a coincidence!
Well, to that point, there's no such thing as a coincidence in politics. There's not. Okay.
First time for everything. That scenario right there, it reminded me of two pop culture references I'm going to make. First one is the wolf from Pulp Fiction, when everything goes to shit and they have to call in the wolf. And so they call in Biden, the old wolf or whatever.
Biden will be the wolf of American history.
The wolf of Washington, the wolf of Pennsylvania Avenue. But also, it reminded me, I know John will get this reference. I don't know if Kathy, if you will, but there's a little video game that I happen to like called Red Dead Redemption. And at the very end, was that a good oh my God or a bad one? I don't know.
I have two brothers.
Okay, all right.
Continue your story.
So at the end of Red Dead Redemption, Dutch commits suicide. The person John has been sent to kill. And when the Pinkertons show up to find Dutch's body, they give John a bunch of shit like, oh, I guess you didn't have the guts to kill him. And they're like, give me your gun, John. And they take it and they shoot Dutch's body on the ground and say, trust me, it looks better in the report that way. That's what I thought too when you're going with this. It's like, all right, we got him, but someone shoot him a couple times. It's going to look better to the press when we release it. I kind of like that.
You know what's really funny is I kind of thought of that while I was scribbling my little conspiracy down. I actually pay attention when my brother stuff.
I love it. I love it. That is fantastic.
That's the other one. I think it's Portal. The cake is real. The cake is real. And like I put that in one of my PowerPoints. Or the cake is a lie.
Cake is a lie.
Whatever. It's been a fucking long time, right? But I remember I like made one of those little subtle jokes in one of my economics PowerPoints one of the days, and like made one of the kids like love me. They're like, Miss Cannon, you understand? I was like, I don't really. It's just a joke. Like I get the joke. I don't play the game. Like just stop.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear any more about it. The other one's Assassin's Creed. I was like, please stop talking to me about Assassin's Creed because we're learning the French Revolution, and they're like, hey, you know Assassin's Creed? I was like, if you say Assassin's Creed.
Oh, maybe you should play Assassin's Creed sometime.
I'm
just
TJ.
saying, I never played it. I know, but it might be. I mean, if so, I don't know. It could go along pretty well. Like, imagine how cool they think you are if you play Assassin's Creed.
I can hear the voice, Miss Cannon. It's not traumatic or anything.
Yeah. So John, what do you think the aftermath is going to be? Like, what do you think is going to happen? This is a pretty weird turn of events.
So that's the interesting part to all of this. So I'm going to assume, for the sake of argument, that what is being reported is true. Our conspiracy theory isn't correct. This was a massive coincidence, and no one was planning for his death. And it seems like, if that's the case, Biden and Harris are taking the bull by the horns. And Harris released her statement, the Obama, I killed Osama bin Laden. She did the whole statement. We're like, oh yeah, we got him. We got our guy. And they're probably pushing for this to be the end. And they're like, yo, BB, you got the guy. You got your scalp. End this shit. However, Bibi, unsurprisingly, this might come as a surprise to some people, but Bibi says the war isn't over.
What?
And
What?
I know, right?
Because he's
And
going
he
into
said this is
Lebanon
the day after Hamas starts now in Gaza, you know? And it's like the thing that he's not saying is who takes over, because we know he wants it to be Israel. And that was the entire point of all of this. And I do think that is what Bibi's going to be pushing for. And what I do suspect is, you know, this is a big, I don't know, but I'm just guessing, is that Israel's going to try and annex Gaza, and the Biden administration is going to try and sell it as an end to the war, and a victory for, you know, the good freedom fighters of the world. And that I don't really know what the Republican side to that is. But I think that's the most likely way this all ends up playing out. But it really depends, like, if they're able to, like, if this was a hit by the CIA and they have someone installed in Hamas that's going to, like, more or less peacefully transfer the power, that's probably what's going to happen. But again, this is a very just like guess. Like I don't know, because like I could equally believe this was a CIA hit, or it was a total coincidence no one saw coming, and everyone's just making a power play right now. I don't know.
Huh? I mean, it could be like, you know, like what Kathy was saying, that they were tipped off and acted on it, but the timing is just weird for that. Like the timing is just really odd. Yeah, I don't really know. It's like it does make you wonder, like, if this was something by Biden, this would have been more effective like a month ago. I feel like right now, people have already voted. I mean, you don't want to wait till people after they vote to start doing this, unless they're feeling really desperate, unless they're not satisfied with the way the voting is going. We'll cover that in a little bit too. I mean, I don't know. We're speculating. Who knows what's going to happen? And the annexation of Gaza has always been on Israel's list. I don't know if the United States wants that or the United Nations wants that. And also, like, killing another high-level leader of Hamas or Hezbollah, so that's just been par for the course for Israel, so no skin off their teeth. And like Kathy mentioned, the incursion into Lebanon is what's on their mind right now, and fucking Iran. I mean, it's just like Israel's got to look. They got to be stopped. They can't be allowed to keep doing this anymore. I don't know. What do you think, Kathy?
Oh boy, oh boy. I don't know if you've seen me scribbling.
I seen it. We synced it.
All right,
it. Smoke was rising from the paper. It was.
I ripped the paper actually by accident. I was so furiously writing. It's fine. Remember all those conspiracy theories about America's paying for Hamas and we did this and blah 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 blah, like that were on the internet, like I don't know, years ago, like in the middle of whatever. Like the right wing Looney Tunes were always like, the American government, we're funding Hamas, we're funding everything. We're like, you know, you look at me like you don't know the people. You know the people. Okay? Okay, so I was thinking that, and we also know Reagan and everything, right? Because he did, in fact, install like Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, and we were kind of famous for funding, like, you know, some terrorist groups to overthrow some governments. It was sort of our jam for an entire, you know, couple decades or so, or continuing. But to the point, continuing, right? So, like, what if we weren't funding Hamas, but we had like an American's plotline version of it in Hamas, like where we had a secret agent like living in Hamas and like low-key pretending to be Hamas, and
well,
like,
we certainly if we don't have that,
obviously
that's just malpractice,
right? So that's what I'm saying. So like that's how it happened, right? And like boom, so like then so I don't know if you saw the Fox News interview with Kamala Harris, right? But she made a big, like, let me be clear, this will not be a continuation of the Biden administration, which had a like when she said it and the way she said it into response to the question she said it, it felt very like deeper than it, like she was sending a message to somebody specifically listening. And I think that might have been Benjamin Netanyahu. Like, I'm saying it here, but be clear, right? Because like she at that point probably knew he was dead, but they hadn't, you know, gone through the steps of staging it the way they wanted, assuming my conspiracy is correct, right? To your point, like this is a hell of an October surprise. We got the terrorist, right? Like had Osama bin Laden been killed this time in October of 2012, like that election would have been a land fucking slide, right?
Yeah.
And So I wouldn't be worried about the early voting, to your point, because early voters know how they're going. Like undecided voters don't vote early. Okay.
Yeah.
So like that, but they might be worried about what they're seeing in the returns. But to the point, your question, does the UN want Israel to annex Gaza? No, the UN's pretty
Nope.
clear, two-state solution. They lost Europe already and the two-state solution, right? And Kamala Harris is literally, we know the Republicans, like, will let Bibi Netanyahu annex Gaza because they're just gross and racist and disgusting, and Palestinians are brown, and that's enough, you know? So it's very clear in this moment. Like, I think you're going to see in the next 3 weeks, the lead up to election, Kamala Harris is going to talk big two-state solution, right? Like, she's going to talk big. They did what they did, the retribution for October 7th. It may have taken a year and there may have been a lot of devastation, but now is the time. It fits right into her slogan to turn the page to an America with a less toxic rhetoric and turn the page to a two-state solution in Israel. Why don't I work for her?
But here's the problem, though. Why would Bibi do that? Like, there's no reason for him to want that to happen.
Benny Gantz is the reason.
What was that?
Benny Gantz is the reason. Bibi's unpopular in Israel. He's been facing historic protests. He's clinging to power to avoid bribery charges. He's lost control of his government. He only formed the coalition government so they could kill this motherfucker. This motherfucker is dead. Benny Gantz is going to go like on a vote of no confidence, call for elections. Bibi's out.
If that's true, then it works.
Yeah.
Like, but I struggle. So I was someone who
You're
was
just struggling with American competence. I know it's hard.
It's not even American competence. We're very competent at killing people. We're just less competent at like predicting the outcomes of killing people.
Consequences were bad.
Exactly. But the thing that I struggle with is that there isn't an immediate plan on both sides. If there was an immediate plan on both sides, I'd be with you. But what the White House is saying and what Netanyahu is saying are two different things right now. The White House is saying the war is over, and Netanyahu is saying the war is not over, motherfuckers.
Well, I know, but that's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just don't think there is communication there. So yeah, like if Netanyahu isn't going to be in power in the next couple of weeks, like maybe, but like I don't see it playing out in any way in the election, in time for the election, in a way that is beneficial to the White House, unless Israel just does a ceasefire. Like that's the only way it actually happens, if the ceasefire gets done, which I just don't see happening.
Yeah, that will not happen. I'm going to go ahead and tell you there's not going to be a ceasefire. But like, here's the thing, like, it's not going to happen before the election, but it's going to happen because what you're going to see between now and then is all of that start to play out on the stage. So to the point, we're saying the war is over and Israel saying, no, it's not. We're telling Israel the war is over. They're saying, no, we want to play. So you're going to see us say, no, motherfucker, bitch, listen, you're grounded. Look, motherfucker, bitch, what we have a bigger army than you. Right?
But we don't. We could have done that at any point.
No. Like year. We do. But the point is that we can be very clear. Like the theme of a new generation taking leadership. This is not a continuation of the Biden administration. We know Biden's a simp for Israel and always has been. Kamala Harris has not been. And she made a very clear point. I have not spent my entire career in Washington, right? I'm not beholden to the same interests, especially those tied to Beltway politics, which are very tied to AIPAC, right? Her husband is Jewish, but not all Jews just default agree with Israel. In fact, a lot of American Jews specifically hate Benjamin Netanyahu. And I'm willing to guess her husband is among them, given that he's a decent human, right?
Yeah.
So if everything is pointing to Donald Trump is going to lose, because they're making us think it's a horse race because they need us to keep watching for ratings. I think it's not as close as they want us to think it is, because of if I'm putting pieces together, I'm good at patterns, right? Then that's kind of what I'm thinking. Bibi, it's going to be Kamala. Kamala is not beholden to the same people Biden is or anybody else that's ever been president, all right? She's not going to deal with your shit, and you've seen how she neuters men when she talks to them. Benjamin Netanyahu is an insecure man, and he's not going to be able to out-talk Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris is on record saying, if you break into my house, I'm probably going to shoot you. And I believe her.
All right.
You have a lot more faith in confidence.
Yeah, I
than
was gonna
do.
say
And
I'm
go, TJ.
cautiously optimistic / hopeful with Harris. But you were confident, and so I like that. I wish I shared it.
I'm
I do think she'll be better than
confident for a
Biden, but
reason.
I'm not completely sold. But we'll see. We'll see.
There's a
when
reason I'm
she-
confident if you want to know.
Sure.
What is the
It's
reason?
because the difference between her and like established old guard politicians by the time they run for president is that she's willing to move her positions still.
Mhm.
And she probably, as a district attorney in California, and as an attorney general in California, and as an age or a senator from California that sat on judiciary, she didn't really deal with foreign policy. She probably doesn't really have strong positions on Israel, and probably her voting record reflects just the dynamics of caucusing in with Democrats in the House, right, or in the Senate. Like, do as Democrats do. Got it. I don't understand this. I trust you. Whatever. Here's my vote. Right. So she's started paying attention to this in good conscience, probably only when she became vice president, which has been a time of nothing but hostility and a very like, fuck you, Benjamin Netanyahu, right? And if she wants to be a different kind of leader, this is like, you want something to break the race apart 3 weeks in. Here, this is it, you know.
But
so that's
here's where like I'm not buying what you're selling, because I was kind of like, I was where you are right now.
He was. I was there. I was there. He
At the
was.
start of the campaign. Like genuinely, this is what I was, because like she was rhetorically distancing herself from Biden to a certain extent. She's the first one who said, hey, we definitely need a two-state solution. She was the first one to originally call for a ceasefire. She has been a step ahead of Biden this entire way. But then once the convention happened and she denied Palestinian speakers the ability to speak, she repeated the lies and propaganda about Hamas. She very clearly, rhetorically, incredibly so, sided with Israel. And since then, it's just been exact support for what the Biden administration is doing. If what you're saying is true, and she intends to have a substantially different policy on Israel, why the fuck doesn't she just say that? Like, why doesn't she break with Biden right now? Because
she's running in the general election.
But the poll, all of the polling data shows that there is more support for a arms embargo than there is for the current administration policy.
Not if you're trying to win Republicans and moderate voters. No, not if you're trying to win Republicans and moderate voters. And that's what she's trying to do, because this is an issue that obviously the far left is not going to budge on. So she can't count on their votes. And there's literally absolutely nothing American foreign policy can do within the year, even if it's from like when this started, but the year this started to now. I know we want to think that we have the pull, that we could just be like, oh, end it now. No, we can't, right? You have to go through certain diplomatic channels, especially when you have complex diplomatic relationships, right? So, like, if those voters are unmovable and you can't get through to them, you're not going to win with them. You have to win because it's a dire situation. She's got fucking Liz Cheney campaigning with her. She's got Mark Milley. She's got a bunch of Republicans. She's going out on stage. No, but she's doing that for a point. She's not doing that to say, no, listen, she's not doing that to say
breaking with Biden would be good in that case.
No, it's not. Because what is happening here, because Biden's position on Israel is Republicans' position on Israel. And like, old people vote more than young people, and old people feel very differently about Israel than Palestine than young people, right? So she's trying to win the above 40 vote that would either stay home or vote for Donald Trump begrudgingly. Like she's going after a very specific subset of voters, and that's why she's not saying out loud the things she probably wants to say. She's speaking general election, right? So like, you guys that have been grading papers all day, one of the questions that the kids had to answer was basically like, how does a candidate change their approach from winning the nomination to winning the general election? She didn't have to win the nomination, so we didn't get to actually see where her positions would be on those things, with a lot of time to analyze them and chew them. She was nominated and immediately gear shifted into general election. And the correct answer to the question, kids who all got it fucking wrong, is that for one, you're courting your party, which means you speak to the left. You speak to those people. I am the person to represent the party, right? Once you get to the nomination, you move back to the center. I am the person to run America, an America where half of you don't agree with me. So I believe this Democratic Party, but we didn't get to see that, right? So that's like a fair to be skeptical kind of thing. But rest of America, these are the things I'm willing to hear you on.
Yeah,
right?
this is after the convention. John and I had this exact conversation, this exact one, because I said that when you get the nomination, you sprint to the center. This is what you do because you've already got the people locked up that you already have, and but. I do. It is. I don't know if it's an easy answer. I really don't. I don't. I can see either one here, especially with the unpopularity of Netanyahu and everything. But the older voters, you're right. The older voters are gonna fall in line with Israel, and she's very clearly made that choice. I mean, she has. Like that's there. That's she's not detracting from that. Whether
She doesn't
she's
have
correct.
time.
Yeah.
Well, she
It's
doesn't
like
have
it
time
doesn't.
to.
It's like. And like I cringe when you mentioned the Liz Cheney thing because listen, I get that you soften your approach, you try to because I saw this poll. It's like it's a shocking number of Americans who say that they believe Harris is too liberal, which is just it's weird for me to see something like that. But that's what she's seeing and she's trying to combat against. And oh shit, what was I gonna say here? Fuck, I forgot. John, throw me a lifeline here. I forgot what I was gonna mention, but something about Harris. But
I don't know what you were going to mention, but I just wanted to bring up that polling data. I have 21 polls here to support the fact that there is more support for a weapons embargo than there is for the current administration policy. But this is a poll of 1,500 voters by the Cato Institute and YouGov showed that
By the
61%.
Cato Institute.
Yeah, this is a right wing fucking organization, right?
Correct. Famous for
And
push polls.
yes,
Famous
but
for
and it
push polls.
shows 61% in Wisconsin, 51% in Pennsylvania, and 56% in Michigan support conditioning aid to Israel on their.
But that's what Biden did, though, right? He did that yesterday. He conditioned
Yes.
aid and for an embargo.
No, he didn't condition aid.
Well, not aid, but I mean, he conditioned weapon support if they didn't play ball.
No. It was very clear. He did not condition aid. He said, "Hey guys, I may at some point potentially have to. Can you please do this."
Well, threatened
he
to. Yeah.
Did not. No. They even said they literally said this is not a pretext for conditioning aid. We just would like you to do this. Like it was the most gentle thing possible. But what I'm saying is, my thing is like, Biden is a historically unpopular president. And Kathy, you seem to be of the opinion that Kamala is able to play defense, and I don't think so. I think this is a coin flip. And I
seriously wait, like I don't know if you saw, like I legitimately like jump scared to that. Like,
and we're gonna get into some polling data later.
Yeah.
But the ability to be strong, because the number one attack against her, and you brought up the Fox News interview, and there's an important segment of that where the host, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. Brett Baier, that's it. He asked her, he's like, hey, over 70% of the U.S. population doesn't think America's headed in the right direction. You guys have been in charge for 4 years. What gives? And she has no answer to that because she's like, I'm just Biden 2.0. But showing, hey, I'm willing to break with Biden. I'm willing to be my own leader. I will be change. I will be progress. That shows strength. That shows leadership. I feel like that's more able to get people who weren't going to vote for her out into the streets to vote. And I don't think anyone is going to start voting for Donald Trump because she does that. Like, I don't think there's anyone who's like, I just don't see it. Who wouldn't have anyway.
Here's what I'm going to remind you about this. You're watching that Fox News interview as if she was talking to you in that interview. She was not talking to you in that interview. Who are the only people who watches Fox News?
Old white people.
People who aren't going to vote
white
for her.
people. She's talking to old white people. I'm sorry, and TJ, back me up here if appropriate. I might be wrong, but she's a black woman, and they're old white people. She can't come in guns blazing. I'm going to change the way we do things in America. I'm going to have a different policy. I'm going to disrupt the world order. She's not going to say that.
I'm not saying this. I'm saying do something different than Biden.
No. But what it means is, like, to do something different than Biden is to do something different than the U.S. government's foreign policy to Israel since 1948. Okay, like she does. Like, to the other question, like 70% of the country say the country's in the wrong direction, and that's been true since 1994. Okay, like the answer to those questions is that, but she's not going to say that to scare, like, to white people who are scared of a strong black lady, right? She's you're going to pick the fights that you know you can win. She knows she can't win Palestine. And if she's lost voters because of it, she needs to gear shift away from it. There's literally not enough physical time between her becoming the candidate and the actual election to change foreign policy or publicly take a stance that drastic. It's just, it would cause
Herbert
so
Hoover
much.
did it, and he massively increased in the polls when it came to.
Wait, what?
And then the Great Depression destroyed the world.
What did Herbert Hoover do?
No, Herbert Hoover. When fucking LBJ, right?
Herbert Hoover was president in like the
20s. You're talking about someone else?
I'm thinking of the wrong fucking person.
Yeah,
because Herbert Hoover brought us the Great Depression.
Yeah,
the guy who ran the VP who ran Vietnam War.
Nixon was Eisenhower's VP.
He ran against.
Kennedy.
Who ran against Nixon?
Kennedy. And then Johnson ran against McGovern. And then
after Johnson.
After Johnson was Nixon. Nixon
ran against Nixon after Johnson. Herbert Humphrey, not Herbert.
Oh, okay.
I got my H's mixed up. Humphrey.
That's fair.
Sorry. I'm glad we got there. Humphrey, he was with LBJ on the Vietnam War. In October, he broke with LBJ from the Vietnam War, and he gained about 20 points in the polls after that. He still ended up losing, but it became a close contested election. He was getting trounced. And I think that indicates that you can increase in the polls.
What's hilarious about this, I have to jump in, I have to interrupt, because what's hilarious about this is he momentarily jumped in the polls 20 points. George W. Bush hit 81% after 9/11. He did something drastic. People responded to it. But what's 1968 and Democrats famous for? It's not losing the election, it's losing their party. Because he did that. He came out, he made a very strong stance. I'm going to change the status quo in American foreign policy. And 1968, the Democratic Convention broke out in riots. The Democratic Party collapsed. And we saw 30 years of Republican domination.
That was before he broke. He was for the Vietnam War at the convention. It was after the convention that he broke with LBJ, and that's when he rose in the polls.
Which is when the Democratic Party split apart and we lost left-wing voters, and therefore the Democratic Party had to march center to find voters because him, it killed the part. That is the moment where the Democratic Party collapsed.
The 68 convention, that was the one with McGovern, right? And McGovern and Humphrey, wasn't that when there was a lot of contention within the party? I mean, it was a lot
RFK had been killed.
And it was a lot.
The McGovern-Fraser convention, and the super delegates, and that's why we have super delegates.
Yeah, I think the best comparison to that one would be the closest one was 2016. That one with Clinton and Sanders crowd, and how there was a fracture of the party.
They were booing each other.
Yeah, there was a lot of fraction right there, and so I don't know.
And that's why we lost in 2016.
Yeah, 1968 has been terrifying to the Democrats since that actual event. They've always been worried. What you said, the superdelegates, and why they kept moving there. But I don't know. We've got to move on to different topics. We still have some left. It's 7:30.
That's why I said, I was you want to get Israel out of the way. I'm like, you don't get Israel out of the way.
I know. And I don't know if you guys noticed, I didn't say a whole lot that one, because this is
lucky.
Well, Kathy, you said something, and I had a really good joke I wanted to make, and I kept looking for an opening to make it, and then the time for it passed 15 minutes ago. So then I was behind on the conversation, and I had another thing on that. So yeah, I'm sorry. I want to add one thing real quick with so this is pertinent, I think, before we close out here, because I think this is good. When you guys are talking about, I'm back in the conversation now, folks, but when the United States government is good at killing people, but not necessarily good at, planning the aftermath. Yeah. And I first noticed, I noticed this firsthand when I was in the military, and I was in Jordan, and so my unit was there on the north side of Jordan to protect, from the Syrian civil war from spilling over into our ally Jordan. That's kind of why we were there.
Oh, okay,
and I was reading a lot about the Syrian conflict, and I found out that the United States had, we had essentially tried to overthrow Assad back in 2011, the Obama days, in Operation Sycamore Timber, or Timber Sycamore, I forget. But we also had the CIA that was funding, I believe it was the Free Syrian Army, and that was also, had their beef with Assad. But the United States government was also funding Syrian Kurds And the funny thing about this, well, it was funny to me watching it happen, is that the Syrian Kurds and the Free Syrian Army weren't necessarily allies. They just had a common enemy. So whenever the Syrian Kurds had like an encampment or some territory they controlled, and they moved out of it, or they had exhausted their supplies, the Free Syrian Army would come in and start fighting them. So it was literally that meme where it shows my tax dollars and missiles, and it's like also my tax dollars. It was happening like right in front of me. I was like, oh wow, that is kind of nuts. And so yeah, I wouldn't put it past the United States to have an elaborate plot with this, and then just having no idea what happens next. I mean, as we saw with the Mujahideen, we saw how that turned out. So yeah, it's
well, go all the way back. Like, we were once friends with Stalin, and our plans to get out of it was then the Cold War. Okay, so like we tend to solve war with war. So
show me a problem war can't fix. I gotta tell you, it's like that's what we got figured out there.
America.
Yeah, I think this is actually gonna dovetail right into similar what we were talking about. It'd be a pretty good segue here. But I wanted to talk about the early voting. And so see, I'll pull up this article I had here while I was going over it, because I have changed a little bit since yesterday. So maybe I'm like not poll watching, but data watching and everything. So from yesterday when I saw the numbers for the early voting were looking really bad for the Democrats. We knew that the numbers would be lower than 2020, that fewer people would take advantage of early voting because we're not in the middle of COVID, and that it would be like that. But from what I saw yesterday, from the numbers that were reported, the numbers were like the Republicans had a higher percentage of early voters than they had in 2020. From what I saw now, it seems to have evened out. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here, what I got. Oh, this is 2024 early voting in battleground states and how it compares to today. So Target Smart Analysis, published on Wednesday, 20 days before the November 5th election, concluded that 3,845,372 registered Democrats had voted so far, compared with 2,550,036 Republicans and 634,091 unaffiliated. The data also showed that as of Wednesday, more registered Democrats than Republicans had voted in the crucial battleground states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona. Though the GOP was ahead in Nevada. That's pretty disappointing to see that they're ahead in Nevada. And according to the data, early and absentee voting in 2024, 20 days before the election, is significantly lower than 2020, no surprise there, when many states encourage the practices due to the coronavirus pandemic. The group claims that 20 days before the 2020 election, some 10.5 million registered Democrats cast their ballots, along with 7 million registered Republicans and 2 million voters without party affiliation. And I think I had Pennsylvania in here too. Yeah, in Pennsylvania, which Trump won in 2016, lost in 2020. 427,400 registered Democrats had voted, along with 170,000 Republicans. And Democrats also have a substantial lead in Wisconsin, in contrast to the same state in 2020 election cycle. Republicans were ahead at this time back then. 106,000 Democrats have voted, 49,000 Republicans. And the picture is similar in Michigan, where the Democratic lead is substantially bigger than 20 days before the 2020 election, according to Target. So when yesterday's polls came out, the Democrats were like barely ahead or even losing. The Democrats are still losing in Arizona, which that surprises me. I gotta say, I am surprised that the Democrats are. I knew that all the polls had Trump up by a point, I think, in Arizona from what I saw. But once again, it is early voting, I know, but I figured with Kerry Lake and the 1861 abortion law they had, that the Republicans would be absolutely cooked. But the fact that Arizona is close is very depressing to me. I thought for sure that they would come through for it. And who knows, they might. Because like it's a weird election cycle with we don't know how early voting is going to compare. It's going to be lower, but the rates are about the same. I did the quick math on that. It was about 30% more Democrats voted in 2020 in most of these, and that pretty much shows out in all these as well. So I don't know, Kathy, what have you seen so far?
I mean, I feel like I understand that they're going to look at these things, they're going to analyze these things because they have all of this fucking media time to fill, right? But I don't think it's a good it's apples to oranges to me, right? Because 2020, like you said, we were in the middle of a pandemic. The reason people were taking advantage of early mail-in voting was precisely because of the necessity of it, right? And like a couple of reasons. Like, one, it just started, so there might just still be people who haven't gotten off their ass to drop off the mail-in ballot. Like, they have it, it's filled in, it's like folded, and it's on the front of their house, like by the door, and they keep forgetting to take it and drop it off.
Yeah.
Because I promise, hi, like, I'm that person. But I also think like, is it mail-in ballots specifically were a big difference? Like, I think that's an obvious one, because I think early voting, people like voting in like, there's something romantic about voting in person.
Well,
like, you know,
Gabby,
like there is.
This is right back to the generational thing. Do you think? I think that I like that, but I can see how other people wouldn't. I don't know. I can see that, but I don't know. It's age talking.
No, it is.
Like, I have a very good polling place. I get in and out in less than 30 minutes every time. Usually, for this one, I expect 30 minutes. Usually, I just walk right in and out. I love going there. It's a lot of fun. If I had to wait in line at all, I would mail vote every single time.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I think it is a little bit like, especially for a lot of like first time voters, they're going to want the experience of going, like, they ring a bell for you. You get a sticker. Like, it's a fun little thing, right?
I do like the sticker.
I know, right? And like, they mail you a sticker, but it's not the same. There's
Not the
something
same.
about there's something about a 70-year-old lady with
Fraudulent
curlers
sticker.
like giving me a sticker and saying, "Thank you for being a good citizen," that just makes my heart warm and fuzzy, right? And like, I think that's true a little, because we're all just a little bit like nerdy, sentimental America, right? Like, we're not all like drape ourselves in American flags, America, right? But we all respect the Constitution. Like, there's like something about it that we're willing to fight and protect for, right? You know what I mean? And I think voting is the most obvious, like, extrinsic, I can't talk today, action that we have to like be part of America. You know what I mean? So I feel like, especially right now, given the tension, I do think a lot of people want to vote in person this time. Like, I want to vote in person this time. I want to walk in there and say, "Motherfucker, you're going down." Absolutely the fuck not. And I vote by mail usually all the time, but no, I'm walking in this time.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, so it was interesting because you kind of alluded to Democrats not doing as well in early voting, and that is not what I have seen so far.
Yesterday I saw that, but now it's pretty much caught up from what I've.
Well, so it's lower across the board, which makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, that just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. I would have expected Republicans to significantly outperform their margins relative to 2020, because they are making a concerted effort to get people to go out and vote early. The Trump campaign spent $10 million in Pennsylvania alone with a get out the early vote campaign, and it has not materialized at all. In many places, either the margins are the same as they were in 2020, or Democrats are gaining momentum in the early voting relative to 2020, relative to the Republicans, right? Totals are down across the board. And so that, to me, indicates either one of two things. Either one, Democrats voted more early voting last time, more of them liked it, and so they chose to do it again. But I don't know about that, because then you would see like significantly more Democrats voting. But it seems that like the 2020 inflation was about the same due to the pandemic for both sides. And so what that indicates to me is there is a lot more enthusiasm on the Democratic side of the ticket. There's a lot more people who want to go out and vote for Kamala Harris than want to go out and vote for Donald Trump. And that is very important, because the thing that I've just been zeroing in on is that independents don't fucking exist. Undecided voters do not exist. This is a myth.
It's a myth.
Keep
Bullshit.
telling us that I simply do not believe. The largest voting bloc in America is not independents. It's not undecideds. It's non-voters. And you've seen this exact thing happen with Donald Trump, and I just wish the Democrats would fucking take notice. Donald Trump has dragged the entire party into neo-Nazi territory, and it has not fucking affected him. Not in the slightest. The party followed suit, and you would see the Democrats do the exact same thing. It doesn't matter what the people at the top are saying. the people are just going to listen to the people at the top. And so my thing has been, they should give us all the fucking candy that's going to get us all sugar high to go out and vote for them. They should fire up their base, because getting out the vote, and we've been saying this on this show for over a year now, you don't win elections through persuasion, you win them through motivation. Getting out your side of the vote is what's going to win you election day, because it's going to be locked at 50-50 anyway. It's just getting your people to show up more than the other people, which is why I hate her, trying to go after Republicans, because they're not going to fucking vote for her. Like, it's just, and like the amount of people who are going to switch their vote, they don't exist. I don't believe more
They
people get
do,
mauled by
though.
polar bears than people who actually don't know who they're voting for right now.
That,
So
like, okay, go ahead. No.
So the Republicans for Harris, like, it is a vanishingly small margin of people who and those are your, like, the people who voted for Nikki Haley, even though she wasn't running anymore. And I can see an argument of, I want to try to drag those over. Once again, I'm a big favor too of mobilization over persuasion, just because it's more effective. And I do want to correct one thing, John. You said that Trump dragged the Republican Party to the Nazis. I lightly pushed, I think, would be a better way to say it. That
I was going to say that. I was like, they were already there.
They're already, so, like, a little tug, a little push, and that they're ready to go. And also when so the numbers are down. Everyone expected the raw numbers to be down, and the percentages have kind of caught up, which is a good sign. I'm just I was expecting it to be a lot better in certain areas, particularly Arizona and Georgia, which are not necessary for Harris.
I've written off Arizona and Georgia.
Yeah, Arizona. Yeah, I just expected it'll be a little bit better. Georgia a little less so, but definitely Arizona. So that's where my disappointment is. And one thing too, Kathy, you were talking about how people like the the Americana thing, and like the one thing people ever do politically generally is vote every 4 years, or maybe 2 years if we're lucky. So that's kind of their one thing. And this is why the Republicans, like, even though Trump, it has been so funny watching Trump and Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance go out and saying, all right, you guys, make sure to get out there and vote early, when Trump has spent, his entire time in
the
the public.
irony.
Yeah, saying it's
I literally
bullshit.
wrote irony.
Yeah, exactly. And so it has been funny to see, but Republicans more than anyone else are those traditionalists. They're the ones that are like, no, I want to go out and stand and line and vote and get my little sticker and everything. Oh, did you write that down too? Yeah, because exactly. Yeah, it falls right in line. That's like, yeah, I'm gonna get my I voted sticker the way Ben Franklin intended, and they want to kind of go along with that. And I think there's a lot we can learn there. So John was saying something that we mention all the time, that Trump's main strength electorally was the fact that he got a bunch of fucking, I don't want to insult them before that, but a bunch of people who were politically unaffiliated, people who didn't really care about politics, and his celebrity and his charisma and his humor. Yes, Donald Trump is funny. I will not hear anyone saying anymore that this guy doesn't have decent comedic chops. He was entertaining. And look, not everyone can do that. Almost nobody can. But there are people who would be capable of that. A person we mentioned, Jon Stewart would be a good rival for Trump in that era. That he's someone who
I would walk over dead bodies.
Yeah, people. Yeah, and but it wouldn't be about you though. It would be about the people who wouldn't have voted. Oh, I like Jon Stewart. He's funny. He's interesting. He seems pretty cool. And sadly,
he was around after 9/11.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's got gray hair now. I can respect him. And so that can happen a lot. But another example, one that's probably closer to Trump, one that would actually, because I always said that if I were a Republican, and let's say Trump agreed with I agree with everything Trump said, and I voted for him, I wouldn't tell anybody. I certainly wouldn't brag about it. I certainly wouldn't.
Like,
yeah, I would be too embarrassed and ashamed. And I was trying to think of an example of this, and the closest I can get, he's not nearly as bad as Trump, but it is someone who I'd have to I voted for this guy, Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura would be another guy like that. So Jesse Ventura has great policies. Well, a lot of his policies are pretty good. Like, he talks about a maximum wage rather than a minimum wage, but someone like it's like, hey, what about his thoughts on like Area 51's? Okay, all right. Look, I'm sorry, man. Okay, like it would be kind of embarrassing to do something like that. And I want to ask this to both of you since we're on the topic here, because when you guys are talking about how the biggest section of, or I don't know if it's the majority, but it's pretty damn close. Of people those who don't vote. What do you guys think about compelled voting? Like, so a lot of countries do this, where, like Australia, I know does this, where you have to vote, where they will find you and say, no, here, fill out your card. You have to put up. What would you guys think about something like that?
I'm all on board for it. It should be a thing. I don't know why we don't have it. It doesn't make any sense that we don't. It's just like insurance. Everyone's got to participate for it to work. Like it should be mandatory voting. That way you get a fucking democratic outcome.
What if they don't vote?
It's a tax penalty.
Yeah,
and what that ends up becoming is not a tax incentive. It's just like, hey, you're gonna pay extra money on your taxes this year if you don't vote. Just go out and fucking vote. And you know what? A lot of people will still not go out and fucking vote, but you know what? I'm okay with taxing them.
Yeah.
That's like if you aren't going to do the bare fucking minimum to participate in the democratic process, I'm all right if you pay a little extra taxes.
Now,
I have no problem with that.
Now, before I get to Kathy's answer, I want to throw this out too, because you know how Republicans they always say that they don't like democracy because they don't want people voting. I've always found it ironic that Republicans kind of prove their own point to me. It's like, yeah, maybe you guys shouldn't vote. That would be pretty good if you guys didn't. I would be pretty happy about that. Just spreading it out would be pretty interesting. So, what do you think, Kathy?
I have so many thoughts.
Yeah.
And I know you can tell because I'm scribbling, right? And it's funny because I've actually been chewing this around, and I'll invite people to go listen to my podcast, Just Buy Less Coffee, because I was talking about this with one of my friends.
Just Buy Less Coffee.
Yeah,
that's a great name.
Humor,
that's a great name.
Yeah, it's JBLC for short, but like, why are you poor? Go, just buy less coffee. But I think that we are actually, because I've been teaching James Madison as well, so bear this in mind. I've got Federalist Papers on the brain. But I think we are, in fact, a multifactional pluralist democracy that is trapped in a two-party oligarchy, right? And that makes for strange bedfellows, if you will. And I don't think you can make people vote, okay? Like, at all. And like, I'm going to go around in circles because I'm going to come back to it, right?
Let's go.
Like, what is liberty? What does it mean? It means you have the freedom to decide what to do. And if your liberty is then dictated by the government, that you have to participate in the government to have liberty, you do not have liberty. And to the tax penalty point, the power to tax is the power to destroy. If your government can impose a financial penalty on you if you don't participate in a governmental process, that is not a free nation and a free people with liberty and whatever. Like, if your form of speech and participation is to say, fuck you, I'm not voting, that is your right as an American.
So, first of all, you can totally do that. You can write in "fuck you, I'm not voting," and you wouldn't get a tax penalty. Your logic says you're against the individual mandate. Is that true?
No, because carrying health insurance is not guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution, but life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is. Okay?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yes.
No, it is not.
It is.
That is not a right in the Constitution.
Yeah.
Voting is also not a right in the Constitution.
Read
the preamble.
14th Amendment. Read the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment does, in fact, guarantee your rights and liberties without due process of law.
Why does that apply to voting and not buying insurance?
Because suffrage is also in the Constitution. The right to vote will not be impeded by this, by this, by this, by this, by this. Your right to vote is not impeded.
I was going to say, your right to vote is not.
That's not
your
right to vote.
No. If you, a right or an obligation. Is voting a right or is it an obligation?
It is not a right. According to the Constitution, it's not.
Well, what? But
yes,
we're talking theoretically.
Because your right to vote,
what is it?
No. It says your right to vote cannot be inhibited by.
But
the right
the
to vote is
never grants you that right to vote.
It's an implied.
It's
the Ninth Amendment. It's like an enumerated power to the people in the Ninth Amendment voting, and then voting being
we
a
take
protected.
away that right from felons. So clearly,
correct. But the Constitution says we can.
Right. Well,
but
that goes.
we're talking appeals to legality here. So like,
Yeah, we're talking
I'm
what's
not-
actually the right
I
decision.
don't really care about it, the Constitution, what it says in any way, shape, or
Well,
form.
that's
I'm
not
saying-
something you should say on record.
Well, no, but I'm
I
saying
say
no.
it
John's saying
all the time,
that
it's appeal to
like
legality. That's
the
appeal to
Constitution
legality.
saying something doesn't mean it's the best thing to do. I think
Yeah,
is
the
what.
Constitution
Well, I
yeah,
know,
so,
but like,
slaves.
we should care what it says, is what I mean.
Right, yeah, but it-
we should
and
care what it says.
it
Well, I'm
can
saying
be.
that what I think should be done, the Constitution is irrelevant. If the
Yeah.
Constitution said you
Well,
should
then you
slap your
can't
mother
say
in
it
the
that way
face,
because
I would
that's
say no.
No, because what you're saying is the Constitution needs to be amended to do something, right? It's like this is the core message I try to get through the kids, right? Because your morals, your values, your things, the things you want to exist, the things I want to be in America, great, that's fine. You're allowed to have all of those rights. The question you have to ask on all of these things is, where does your individual right as a citizen end and the government's authority over you begin? And if you want that to be at voting, then your inherent value as a citizen is controlled by the government, because even your ability to participate in government is controlled by your government.
I would argue that forcing someone to buy healthcare is a far larger infringement
Nope,
on
because
their
that's
liberty
commerce.
than forcing them
commerce.
to vote.
Nope, because that's commerce, and Congress and the Constitution grants the right to regulate commerce between states and the several states and the Indian tribes.
Let's pretend we're rewriting the Constitution from scratch.
Well, that's
here
a completely
in the way
different
that is
question.
Optimal. That's
Well,
the question then.
yeah, but that's what the question is.
But I
Like,
still
what
say
would
no.
be optimal? Like,
Yeah,
if you had a magic wand, yeah, like,
to
what
make
would
the
you
laws
do?
whatever
Yeah,
you wanted, would
like
you,
not
would you
bound
make-
by the constraints of
Okay,
legality.
so
Yeah.
to this, you legally have to, under penalty of law, vote for a turd sandwich or a giant douche.
Or
Or-
say
or
none of
would
the
you
above.
whatever you want.
prefer-
You can vote for whoever you want.
Or just put an X on none of the above.
No,
yeah.
but I'm saying that's the ballot, right? You're being forced to participate. If the government is forcing you to do something, then it's an authority over yourself that you have given to the government. That is no longer your right. The government has that right, which means if the government has the right to force you to do something, you're giving them the right to decide if you vote. Because if they can force you to vote, they can just as easily prevent you from voting. Or it's one
That's
step
not true.
further. Nope, it's one step further to force you to vote for them. See Vladimir Putin.
So
See the Brazilian government. All of these places. Look at
I
places
think it's a
that do in
slippery
fact.
slope argument. Like
No, no,
Australia doesn't
because-
force people to vote for anyone.
yeah.
No, but is it a greater potential there than it is here?
So I don't know.
No.
Actually, yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
No,
So-
not based on the people or the whatever, based on just the rule of law. Is the government having the authority to control whether or not people vote? Something that gives them the authority to decide whether or not people
I mean,
vote.
they already
If
do
they can-
here. We stop felons from voting.
Yeah. it's
under
just-
due process of law. So if you violate the law, you're saying this. What I'm saying is, and you can
you're
disagree, like I
violating
said,
the law by not voting.
Yeah.
then you're giving the liberty of your, like, that's what I'm saying. You're giving a fundamental liberty. You can have that position. It's totally fine. I disagree with you. And the reason for it is I don't think a free government forces participation.
Yeah, it's an interesting debate. I side more on no because I don't like the penalty for it. I don't. It does sit well with me. I don't have quite as like maybe an esoteric defense as Kathy does.
I've been
but
doing this for 20 years. so-
yeah, it's just that it's interesting, and also I'm not sure how effective it would be. Honestly, I really don't. I'm not super
That's
convinced.
the thing. It's just both. It's win either way. Either we generate more tax revenue off of idiots, or we get more voter participation. Either way, that's a win-win to me, and no one gets harmed.
Yeah, and yeah,
Whereas
it's just
I
like,
think the core of liberty is harmed. Like,
But-
I think everyone should vote.
See, I
don't think
don't
we can
understand.
force
If you were biting the bullet and said individual mandate is wrong, I have no problem with your argument. But I
Because
don't
the reason
understand
for
the
it is
distinction.
because one, I think the individual mandate is different entirely because it's you have to participate in commerce, right? Like this is the thing. Okay.
Why?
You
The
have-
Constitution doesn't exist. Magic wand.
No, I know, but because the people who pull the levers of power do, and they want to earn profits, so forcing people to buy things is bad, and I think that's kind of bad. I don't, in fact, like the individual mandate, but I understand that Obamacare doesn't work without it. So, from an economics perspective, I
And
think
I
the
don't think
individual
democracy
mandate.
works
No,
without
stop.
everyone
Listen.
voting.
Listen. I think that from an economics perspective, the only way the Obamacare policy works is with an individual mandate. So I support it in that regard. As a theory, as a concept, do I? Absolutely not. I don't think you should be forced to participate in that. But I would support a single payer system because that is something that you are consenting to be governed for. Okay, I would like my government to collect this money and use it for these purposes. So I don't really like Obamacare. I just like it better than not having fucking health insurance.
Yeah,
I just,
I think I agree completely. I think the individual, honestly, I'm not comfortable with it either, but it doesn't work without it. It absolutely doesn't. And if you're going to have this system that you would, now that's why the single payer system makes a lot more sense, because as a tax, it's a lot less nebulous. Because like I was going to say right before, I think John brought it up, is that forcing to participate in commerce is weird too. It's like, well, why? Why do I have to do that? But it's not as if like a car insurance company. Well, fuck, I don't know, but I don't know. That's always an interesting discussion.
Car insurance is bad, man.
It's always an interesting discussion whenever we bring up I don't think we actually brought up the show at all before. I just thought of it just now when we were talking about the people who don't vote and what to do with them.
This has been our most debatey show that we've ever had, I think. And
no, it is not. No,
well, okay.
It is not.
No, but even that show that you're alluding to, it was like one really bad debate.
That's what you remember. That is what you remember. That was not
there was another debate earlier.
There was other ones, yeah.
I'm so curious right
We had a guy rage quit on the show. He like shut off the camera and left or whatever. Wonder what he's up to these days. Yeah.
He's still out there. Ryan Shahid.
Ryan Shahid. I think I saw a video of his.
It's Sheed.
What? I was gonna say, that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think I
Twitter following.
I saw one of his videos pop up. I said, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy. That guy's a fucking coward." That's right. Let's see.
It was over the dumbest thing too, Kathy. It was over.
Kathy.
It was over. Whether
hold
or
on,
not you
hold
should
on,
give
John.
unemployment insurance. Well, go ahead,
John, what would be really funny if Kathy's like, "No, he was totally right." She's like getting mad. But go ahead.
I've been teaching government, so like my job sometimes is devil's advocate. I just have to poke at you to make you like real. Like that's all I'm doing.
It was over whether or not unemployment insurance should be given to workers who are on strike. That was the rage quit issue.
And it was me and John and Corey Bradford on the show. We had 4 people on at a time back then. Mm-hmm. And all 3 of us, I guess, is a pretty good idea. And then a guy, like, I don't know, he got mad at you, John, for something. I can't remember, but it was something that, I don't know, maybe you just started picking up the topic more than Corey and I did, but yeah, he went back and forth, and like the guy just slowly got angrier, and it's like, so you're saying we need to pay these people who refuse to work? It's like, well, I mean, it doesn't kick in until like 8 weeks or something. I don't know. And the guy just lost his mind. He thought that he thought that we were one of these like you lefties are trying to tear down the Democrats and everything with these wild. He's like, this doesn't seem insane, but yeah, the guy completely lost his shit. That was a wild episode.
I'm not going to lose my shit, but I do kind of agree with him.
Oh my God! There we go.
Of course she does. Get the fuck out of here.
No,
only because like I work as an AR, or I used to, not this year, but like as an AR, like that's the union's job. Like the union pays the supplemental salary to their striking workers, and if the government starts funding union workers, then that's the government endorsing a side, and I don't think the government should endorse either side. In like arbitrary strikes, right? Like, are there times where the government should take a stand? No, I like, and I don't like it.
Workers from their homes,
right? And I don't like that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of things I don't like, but my point is, if we're going back, because remember, I teach this. I'm like, this is how it should work. If we're getting back to what the core values are, unions should have more power. But unions should do more for their people, right? Like they're supposed to be an entity all to themselves. Remember, we're supposed to be this multifactional system, and unions are supposed to exist in the same way political parties exist, and they're supposed to have sort of the same power. They don't because Reagan, right? But like that's how they're supposed to work. And when those people would go on strike, their unions did fund their salaries. And if it's a union issue fighting a company, the government stepping in to aid a like that's just like there's no political world where that's like you're going to get elected doing like you're just not going to get elected doing that, right? Like I get the spirit of it and I understand like the stand behind the worker, but from a power of government and a balance of power and how to protect the rights of people.
What if the democratic will of the people is for that to happen?
Yeah.
then there would need to be a law that says that the government
That was
should do this.
that's what it
Well,
was.
that was
Like
the
it
thing.
passed.
No,
it
it was. It
passed
was
Congress
passed, and
and
Newsom
in
vetoed
California, and Newsom vetoed it. Yeah, that was the issue. The people were cool with it, or at least the representatives were. I don't know. I think the government definitely does take sides in union.
They 100% do,
and
but
it's
I don't
usually
think
the
they
side of the
should.
company, and so it's
Right, which means that we
yeah.
have a negative view of them for doing that, right? Like we view them negatively because they get involved on the side of the business, right? If they're paying unemployment benefits to the union strikers, aren't they essentially doing the same thing on our team? So
Well,
basically, it's
Our
okay for
team's
us, but it's
right,
not okay
though.
for you.
But there's no option to take no
Fine,
side
but
here.
the government.
There's no option.
No, I
to.
know, but
Yeah.
the government side is supposed to be what what plays out in the legislature, and the process is the people said we want it, the governor said no. Then the people need to work harder to get it because
Yeah.
not enough people support it because the governor doesn't think signing it will be good politically. And I'm going to venture to guess the governor understands the political dynamics more than people that are like, yeah, I'd like you to pay me to say fuck you to my boss.
Democracy.
Well, yeah,
I disagree with that too.
Oh, you really wanted into the weeds here.
No, I do.
Democracy. That is.
I've read the Federalist Papers like 20 times, though. Okay, so and the reason for it is that I respect the Federalist structure. I think direct democracy works. Look at me. I'm quoting Brutus actually right now. I'm quoting the anti-federalists somehow right now, which is very strange. But I think direct democracy works very well at the local level, like the things that directly impact you. But gigantic, big ass fucking decisions like the federal budget and like federal foreign policy and federal like aid programs and how to treat veterans, I don't think Joe on the corner is fully equipped to make those decisions. So I think it's a good idea to have smart people making the big decisions and like regular people making the regular decisions. But I don't want everybody
with that for the
yeah,
most part.
I wouldn't disagree with that either. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah. I don't want direct democracy.
I certainly don't want
but
national
more direct
vote
democracy. Right, that's
on
all
Syrian foreign policy. Yeah,
exactly.
I want a section of the federal budget to be discretionary and up to direct democracy. I think that would be
that's a good law.
Beneficial.
Like,
yeah,
because I think that would be great. But then the question is like, how would you determine? Because then the discretionary spending is Congress, so then they could just arguably say it's for like anti-abortion programs or adoption facilitation.
There's a lot of logistics into how exactly it might work.
So like,
I think we're in agreement on the broad strokes here.
Yeah.
But like those are state level issues. So like,
of course, yeah.
Like states need to let their people have more of a like one good thing I'll say about Florida is that they allow ballot referendums, right? Like if we can't get our legislature to move, we can be like, well, motherfucker, I'm gonna put it on the ballot, and the governor can still do his place tricks. I know what you're gonna say, right? But we also have tricks back that we can go. Like Florida is pretty close to the direct democracy that I think you're envisioning.
Wait,
And
isn't
it's Florida
a 60% ballot state? Like, because I know the abortion, because most states are 50. Because I was like, even like Iowa is a 50+1. So that's that seems anti-direct democracy to me that they're a 60%.
No, because it's the 60% threshold to change the Constitution, and that threshold is inspired by the federal Constitution of 2/3 of Congress, 3/4 of the states.
Right. But I mean, like I thought most states were at 50+1 because I remember seeing that. I was surprised.
Don't know. I know some are, and I know some aren't.
Because like Iowa just changed theirs because they had the abortion. They changed it from 60 to 50 like 10 years ago. And then when the abortion measure was put on,
I know they tried to put it back.
They tried to take it back to 60 or whatever. And that, I mean, I do wonder. I
the funniest
guess
part is it hit 63. Like
I know it's funny too.
Like,
it is pretty.
Like
funny,
I would have loved it. I'm like, fine, you raised it to 60, and we still won. So motherfucker, eat it in. Right? Like, it's
I don't know. It's just that I can. Jesus Christ, we only have 20 minutes show left, but I can kind of see. If I squint, that we want to make sure this has overwhelming support before we change, something on Constitution. All right, I can kind of get that. It's still the people either want it or they don't. That's kind of how I see it. And like 55 people out of 100 wanting it. Oh, sorry, it wasn't 60. Well, then why not make it 70? Like, why not be absolutely damn sure about this? Like, it's completely fucking arbitrary. Make it a simple majority. It's the easiest and the most fair. I don't know. That's just how I see it. I don't like the 60 thing, but all right, fine. Let's move on.
I don't have strong feelings on that one either way. I just know what it's inspired.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Christ. Oh, and I shut down Twitter too, just before I got on this. But I wanted to talk about our favorite character on the show, and ain't he a character, folks? He's a cut up. Now, Kathy, if I remember correctly, you said, "Oh, I sent you a message about this," and yesterday when I emailed the stories out and everything, I realized I have two emails for you. I have one with one N and one with two, and I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know which one. That's why I sent you that message today, wondering what was going on. But you said you didn't even bother to check out the Elon story.
I wanted to hear you guys tell me. Yep. I can't with this guy, but
I can't blame you. All right. So did John, did you see anything about this, about Elon's little expose he had with showing the Cybertruck and the cyber cab and the robots and everything?
I saw like a bunch. I got it in pieces because I saw the robots, I saw the cyber cab. I have a lot of thoughts on this in general.
Yep.
Because there are good things about Elon Musk. They are the things we used to recognize back in the good old days of like 2012. I am in 100,000,000% agreement with Elon Musk that we need self-driving cars yesterday. I would outlaw fucking driving your own car tomorrow if I could. It is insane that, for example, in one of the articles I read, they stopped doing self-driving car pilots because someone got knocked over by a self-driving car. Not even got killed, knocked over. And it's like, humans driving cars is one of the number one killers of humans.
Mm-hmm.
And the faster we can stop that, the better. And it should be like cancer research fucking level priority, because that's how many people die. And for whatever reason, it's been difficult, and I don't understand why.
All right, so now, okay, well, let me go first, guys.
I want you to, yeah.
Yeah, so, all right, so when I first heard about this, I'm wondering if I should share this video, because when I first heard about this, back before we all knew who Elon Musk actually was, like, I don't know, 2012, 2013 or whatever.
Good old days.
All right, and they said, hey, this guy named Elon Musk is a technological genius, and he's working on self-driving cars. And I thought about it, and you heard the arguments against it, saying that it's going to take away. It's something like 30% of jobs held by men in the United States are driving jobs of some sort, and it will wreck that economy. It'll be destroyed, and which means we got to find somehow reconsider our relationship to work and prosperity. I don't know, kind of crazy. Just my thoughts on that, but I agree that self-driving technology for vehicles on roads, it will happen. That's the thing, it will happen.
We have long exceeded it being better than humans.
It is. The problem is that these machines have to operate alongside humans, and there's no way to fix that. There just isn't. And even if a human walking on the road, now the vehicles need to make a decision to either hit that person and kill them, or swerve into a wall and kill you in the vehicle. There's no solution to that other than having a passageway, like roads, that are only operated by machines. The machines have a network where they talk amongst themselves, and that's it. That's really the only way you can do this. Now, you could I've often said that eventually this will happen, but as long as we have this hybrid system where the machines have to work with people who are unpredictable, people who are distracted, people who are, putting on makeup or eating or having sex while they're driving. It's just there's no way to possibly, make the system actually feasible. And the technology is not there. And also, you have competing companies going for this. This is one of my anti-capitalist. I don't think there is a private sector solution for this. There isn't. No. Because if all three of us start our own self-driving technology company, we all have our own, proprietary materials, we all have our own program system, what is the incentive for me to work with you? There isn't. I'm going to keep it to myself. And as long as it's set up this way, it's never going to succeed. It's a pipe dream. What were you going to say, Kathy?
TJ, I just want to add to that. Mm-hmm. Just now, after smartphones came out in 2008, just now are we starting to have the same colored bubbles in our fucking
yeah, right?
Yes, you are 100% correct. There's no motivation for these companies to work together. The public sector has to force that.
Yeah. What was your thoughts, Kathy?
Well, to that last point, it would be like if self-driving cars were as compatible as cell phone chargers, and no thank you, right? Like just like that
Yeah.
would be terrible. The simple solution to this, because I agree, I have a long history with people dying in car accidents. I get very about it. But high-speed rail solves most of the problem. Like, the infrastructure of high-speed rail, then fewer people have to drive, because you're not going to convince people to not drive. Driving's fun. I love driving too. I love going vroom, 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 windy roads, and I love a stick-shift car. Like, I love it. It's super fun. TJ, you made one of the points I was going to make, like why it won't happen is because like truck drivers and things like that, but also the American auto industry.
Yep, they're gonna fight you tooth and nail the whole way. Yep.
They're going to fight you tooth and nail, and they're such a big part of the economy, but also they're an important part of national security. Because like in 2000, remember like the American was it the American Rescue Plan? Obama's like after the recession, right? Like the American Rescue Plan is Biden's, but the Obama version of that when Bush destroyed the economy, not when Trump destroyed the economy.
How do I
the other
remember
Republican?
What this was called? Like
I can't either.
Wow,
because the last 10 years have been wild. I fucking can't remember. Like, TARP is in my head, but I know that was the housing one, so I don't even know. But like I can't remember where I was. Oh yeah, like the reason they like bailed out the auto industry. Remember the joke? It was like Government Motors, not General Motors.
Yeah.
Right? And like, why would they invest? Why would they save this company? Why would the government bail out this money? Because do you know how quickly you can turn those factories into produce tanks, produce weapons, produce guns? World War III. That's why. Like you need to be able to nationalize the auto industry in the event you need to nationalize the auto industry. And for that to happen, you need an auto industry. You don't want to be at war and like at the mercy of South Korea to send you some Kias, you know?
So why not just nationalize the auto industry?
I'm team nationalize the auto. And like
we can skip the middleman
that's
there.
The point.
It's
like a lot of these positions. Like it's so funny because a lot of times I'll say things and they'll be like, "Why are you arguing conservatives' points?" I'm not. I'm going. Why don't we just go ahead and fucking nationalize it? Like you can't under the law. You can't make the company do that. So fuck that company. That's something that private industry is allowed to control.
Yeah. This is something we talk about too.
I'm a socialist, I promise.
It's okay. You're among friends here. And so like we talk about this all the times that I mentioned that. So speaking of like the economic collapse and everything, where they kept talking about how these industries are too big to fail. And the fact that they actually were, that if they were to go under, it would destroy everyone's lives, not just theirs.
Nothing should be too big.
Nothing should be. And look, if it is, it belongs to the country now. Congratulations.
Exactly.
You've been too big to fail. Now you belong to all of us. If your success and failure dictates my family, guess what? You're mine. That's how this should work. But no, we do the complete opposite. It's like, yeah, they can. They're too big to fail. So pay up, average American citizen. Make sure to take care of them so they don't fuck you over.
Dude. I'm
right.
like 100% team on your side.
By the way, I just have to say before we move on, it was the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2000.
That was it. Oh my God, you're right.
I straight up didn't know that one, so I'm not going to pretend. All right, so I'm going to read this.
Like 2 days ago. That's even more embarrassing.
All right, so at any Tesla event, you have to go in expecting a good amount of smoke and mirrors. This is the company run by Elon Musk, after all. He's a self-anointed techno king who's made over-promising and under-delivering a theme of his career. But Thursday's cybercab Robotaxi unveiling was, even by Muskian standards for bluster, one giant optical illusion, the kind of spectacle that will remind everyone that the world's richest person is someone who promotes and appears to relish misinformation and hyperbole on a mass scale, whether speaking to investors, his millions of followers on X, or whichever politician he feels is most likely to agree with his increasingly right-wing, conspiracy-laden viewpoints. Tesla didn't respond to a request for a comment. The robotaxis are fully driverless vehicles that Elon submitted. He's been talking about this for years, and I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up this video. So we were talking about the self-driving thing. The self-driving technology, although it's been talked about for about a decade now, probably longer, but in the public, it's not where it needs to be for a lot of the reasons that we mentioned. But it hasn't stopped Elon Musk from promising over and over and over again that he's going to have it. And the Robotaxi, if you guys saw what this thing looked like, it looked like a regular ass car that was like painted, looked like a Cybertruck, but it has no latches, no handles to open the door. No handles to open the door at all from the outside. It has no steering wheel, no pedals, no brakes on it, and you just gotta trust the machine. And when he did the exhibit, it was on a closed, like a set where the vehicle was just programmed to drive around and everything, so anybody could have done it. But he's been promising this, and it didn't work. He's been doing this year after year after year by saying, we're going to get this, we're going to get it taken care of, and it always bumps up Tesla's stock. But it didn't work with the investors this time, and Tesla has lost $60 billion in value. And I wanted to pull up this video here. This is a short little clip here of Elon's promises he's made over the years. And you guys let me know how many of these came to fruition. Let's check these out.
We'll have over 1 million Tesla cars on the road with full self-driving hardware, feature complete, at a reliability level that we would consider that no one needs to pay attention. Meaning you could go to sleep from our standpoint, if you fast forward a year, just maybe a year and 3 months, but next year for sure, we will have over 1 million Robotaxis on the road. Feature complete with full self-driving.
Anyone want to guess how many Robotaxis are on the road right now? He said over. Yeah, 0. Yeah, he was literally off by 1 million. So I just want to point that out. 1 million units and 5 years later. So let's go on here.
This year, with certainty. This is something that we control, and I manage autopilot engineering directly every week in detail. So I'm certain of this. Or a finance person or something like that. I'm an engineer. I do engineering. So I wrote software for like 15 years, 20 years. I know what we need to solve to make full self-driving feature complete. I'm certain that we will get this done this year. I think we will be feature complete full self-driving this year, meaning the car will be able to find you in a parking lot, pick you up, take you all the way to your destination.
Smart someone.
Yeah, so those are just predictions from 2019. You can go back to his Hyperloop prediction. You can go back to anything you want with Elon Musk. He always says the same thing, is that this is going to be available in 2 years, and it always works. And in the event he had the other night, he said that the Cybercab and the Robovan and everything he had will also be available in 2026. And so I'm glad to see that it didn't work. What did you guys think when you ran across this? John, we'll go to you first.
Yeah, no, I as much as I was just a proponent of self-driving cars and getting this done as fast as possible, it's not going to be Tesla. Tesla still, like, the amount of things that Tesla, like the ordered vehicles that have been paid for, still aren't getting fucking made. I don't think that, like, this is actually going to happen in Tesla. Like, I think Tesla's done before this actually becomes a thing. I think this is either one of the auto industries are going to do it or Google's going to do it. It's going to be one or the other. It's not going to be fucking Tesla because of bullshit like this. Like, it's Elon Musk. He's going to go down. Like, I think that Elon Musk will generally be, like, remembered for generations at, like, on a fucking, like, Bernie Madoff level. Like, he's just a fucking Ponzi scheme artist. One of the greatest of all time. But, like, that's how he's going to be remembered by history, because it's so obvious what he's doing at this point, and we all know the bubble's going to burst. He's very good at keeping inflating it, but it's going to burst eventually.
Kathy, what do you think?
I wrote all these things down. Which
Let's go. Let's fucking go. I love it. I love it.
He opens with the appeal to authority. I'm an engineer, so I know.
Oh.
It makes me want to set my hair on fire. It's fine. Then I wrote, Elon is a total fraud. He always has been. Like, he hasn't invented anything. He buys companies, says, look what I did, and then makes money and sells them, whatever. But then I wrote, because again, I'm a teacher and SATs are like, Donald Trump is to real estate as Elon Musk is to technology.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, he's a criminal. He's a crook. He's a scammer. He's going to go bankrupt and he's going to make it sound like it's not his fault. He's gross. I hate him.
So I thought that too, because I compare Musk and Trump a lot too, and I think Musk is a better con man than Trump, though. I always said that Trump is the best because he rose to the presidency, but Trump has a lot more to work with than Elon Musk. Like, I really can't believe how successful Elon Musk is. And once again, I always give this caveat whenever I say this, because I'm not trying to say people who are poor public speakers are stupid. That's not what I'm saying. But, like, Elon Musk is stupid and happens to be a poor public speaker. And that if I was stupid and a poor public speaker, you would never hear me going on stage and talking like Elon Musk, because he keeps fumbling over his words and shit. I wanted to show this clip. So this is his concept for. So I'm so mad. Well, I'm glad actually you mentioned it, Kathy, because I forgot to about high-speed rail and how that's the obvious solution to a lot of this shit. That like the reason that he did the Hyperloop, if you guys remember, the Hyperloop was supposed to be this super advanced like magnetic train that took people from New York to California in 4 hours or something like that. And it turned out to be a hole in the ground. You could drive one vehicle through a tunnel, a fucking tunnel, and not even a good one.
It's a bad
How
amusement park
innovative.
ride.
Yeah, like a tunnel that has like 3 inches of space between the car and the wall. So if it breaks down, the entire thing's blocked off. It was
That
the
sounds
shit.
horrifying.
Right, it's the shittiest thing imagined. I can't believe it was actually approved by some state or some official body. But this is his solution to traffic congestion. Well, another ridiculous one. It's called the Robovan, but I want you to hear how he pronounces Robovan. It took me a while to figure out what the fuck he was talking about, but I got to post it here? Okay, here we go.
Fantastic. Oh, and also, what happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y? The Robovan. The Robovan is we're going to make this, and it's going to look like that. Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick. So this can carry up to 20 people, and it can also transport goods. So you can configure it for goods transport within a city or transport of up to 20 people at a time. So this is gonna, the Robovan is what's gonna solve for high density. So if you want to take a sports team somewhere or...
All right, first off, fuck you, Elon Musk. Fuck you. I just also like Robovan. Why? I don't know. Robovan. I don't know what's up with that. And like watching that, I was like, okay, this is a problem that could be solved with a regular bus or train, right? Like we don't need this robotic catastrophe that has no clearance. If that thing hits a bump, it's getting shattered. It's like I don't get it. Did you guys run across that? Kathy, did you see anything like that?
Like when I saw it come up on the stage, my first thought was that's the shuttle at the Orlando airport, right? Like that's just the monorail at Disney. It even looks like the monorail.
It does
car,
look
right?
like the monorail at Disney.
So,
Oh my god!
you mean a train, Elon?
Yeah.
You built a train
a shittier
car?
one.
Like you built a bad train car for 4 times the price? Sounds fun.
Ugh.
And everything he builds looks like it comes from that Demolition Man movie, right? Like
Okay.
I always want to make a Taco Bell joke every time I see a Cybertruck.
You want to start swearing so you can wipe yourself in the bathroom and shit? All right, I'm going to get to that. I'm glad I'm going to get exactly to that. But I wanted to show I don't know what they're calling it. It was the Cybercab or the Robotaxi or whatever the official term for it is. I've seen all 3. But this is what it looks like. It's absurd, right?
All right. Come on in. All right, first time? Yep.
So you notice no steering wheel, no pedals, there's not even a latch to open the vehicle from the outside. You are a slave to this machine once you are in. If there's an accident, good fucking luck. And of course, it looks like absolute garbage. I hate being petty on this, but like that is a shitty looking vehicle. Like those wheels are just a giant hubcap with paint on the wheels to make it match the color. No shit, that's just literally what it is. But
accurate description.
yeah, I wanted to point that. And Kathy, what you mentioned about Elon Musk, about how it looks like something from Demolition Man, a fantastic Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes film. Yeah, very, very good. Oh, God. Guys, I lied. I have one more video to show you. I'm sorry. I know we're running out of time on the show, but this is very important. It's very important to my presentation here that I showed this last video. It won't take long at all. But there was also another machine that was available, and these were robots, these humanoid robots that Elon Musk had. So let's check out these bad boys right here.
Right here. Come say hi. All right.
What's up, bro?
Heading to the right.
To the right.
Right
To your left. To your left. There you go, man. 2 Chainz, how you doing?
I want you guys to listen to this robot's voice. Okay, keep in mind this is a machine talking to you. I want you to listen to it.
What's up?
Hey, buddy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
I'm Optimus.
Okay. My name is Tony.
Tony?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Tony.
Nice to meet you too, buddy. Hey, can you
Awesome.
can you play basketball? Can you shoot like jump shots?
Maybe one day.
I'll teach
Can
you.
you?
Okay, I hope I don't have to tell you guys. That is a human being's voice. All right, that is so obviously, and I watched 3 or 4 of these videos, and they all had different voices. Suspicion number 1, but like some of them even stutter. They're like, and they answer a question and everything. And I'll see all these comments is like, oh my god, I can't believe Elon perfected this AI and everything. I was like, you guys are fucking. I thought I was insane. I said, am I the only one who thinks it's a machine or this isn't a machine? And then some other people started questioning it. And they would ask the robot, they say, hey, are you AI? And it's like, well, I am fully AI assisted or something. And then they never once revealed at this event that those were machines that were being, not only were the voices human, but they were being controlled, their emotions were being controlled by human beings as well. And I think it's stuff like that that kind of threw people out with Elon. I think this might be the very first snowball that starts the avalanche here. And I'll let you guys comment real. Say what?
I said, I hope.
Yeah, and I want to show this. So this is what you were talking about, Kathy, and how this seems like something in Demolition Man. Because one thing you notice about Elon Musk, his brain is trapped in 1997. It has like the fact that he calls everything cyber, like people did back in the 90s, that he has like this PlayStation 2 model vehicle that he keeps trying to pump out to everybody. The space stuff.
With the letter X.
Yeah, it is really, really fucking. Yeah, he hasn't moved on from that at all. And this is all. I didn't notice this. I'm so mad I didn't. Here's all the evidence you need. This is from the designer guy. Oh, John, you saw it?
I cannot believe you didn't notice this because the first thing I saw is that I was like, this whole event was just iRobot.
It's iRobot. You know what? You know what he called the event? Dude, the name of the event was We Robot. Like he even stole,
God.
And he doesn't have speaking of being caught in the past, not only is it all designs from these 90s movies, he even named those humanoid robots, they're named Optimus. Like he has no creativity whatsoever. And I just can't believe that we allow this guy to be like this god king that people worship all the time when he's corny, he's lame, he's stupid, and not even fucking original. I would be embarrassed to roll out equipment like this that's such an obvious clone from iRobot and having the balls to name it We Robot. I don't know.
And TJ, not to mention, and I know that conservatives struggle with media literacy.
Right,
but the people who made the robots were the bad guys, Elon. Like, it was very clear. You could not have missed this.
I have a theory, though. I think I have a weird theory. So he's trapped in the 90s, whatever. Mm-hmm. I think maybe he's emotionally stunted and he's like traumatized by the death of Optimus Prime in the Transformers movie. And he just like stops developing at that point, and like his entire life is dedicated to like, vengeance for Optimus Prime. Because my brother cried in the movie theater when Optimus Prime died. I remember it clearly. It was a big fucking deal. So I think
Kathy, we've disagreed on a few things today, but I will 1,000,000,000% stamp my approval on Elon Musk is emotionally stunted. That is a statement that might be the truest statement ever spoken on this show.
Don't make me feel bad for Elon Musk because Optimus Prime dying was pretty sad. I have to admit that was.
I humanized him. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ! I was trying to find the video on Twitter here. I can't find it.
No,
but
don't make me watch
it. It is terrifying.
I can't do it. No.
It is so sad. Like when he dies, like Optimus Prime, like this vibrant red, white, and blue colored robot, just turns fucking gray. Just all the color drains out of his body.
Still talking?
it's terrible,
it's
man.
That and like the Littlefoot scene from like Land Before Time, like wake up.
Oh, his mom, yeah, Jesus Christ, yeah. I don't know.
How he ended the show, TJ.
I know. Well, you brought up Optimus Prime dying, not me. Don't blame me for this shit. Like I was having a good time dunking on Elon Musk, and you're like, hey, remember when Optimus Prime died? Remember that?
Remember that childhood trauma that you can't get over?
Oh God! All right.
Sorry, guys. I suck.
It's all right. It's all right.
I suck. Yeah.
So it's all good. It's all good. I wanted to pull up a cup. We have like a minute and a half left here. Let's see. Heather, I see she joined later in the show. She said, wow, don't hear a lot of Tammany Hall references. That was for like the first 5 minutes of the show. And so she was hopped on late when she saw that. And what was the other one I saw here? Driver assistance seems like the best bet. Yeah, that's the only way that we can actually have this right now. Because there are some good driver assistance stuff. Like I remember that I visited my folks and I was changing lanes in their vehicle and the vehicle vibrated because I was too close to another vehicle. That stuff is great until we can get, but as long as human beings and robots share the road, it's never going to have the fully, I like how Tesla calls their stuff, like full supervised full self-driving. I remember that. Yeah, so like that's what I know it doesn't make any sense at all. But any closing thoughts, John, on this?
No, I think that we can probably wrap it up.
Good shit.
Our outro here.
Good shit.
Patty, if you remember from last time, this is the hook we put at the end of every episode. So I'm just gonna intro it. I'm gonna throw it to you. You're gonna tell people where they can find you, and then TJ's gonna wrap us up. All right. Hello and welcome to the end of the video that you made it to. And yes, you are right. You clicked on the dumbass channel. So make sure to like and subscribe to it, just like our good friend Stargazer Tim. And if you would like to hear more from our wonderful guest, Kathy, please let our audience know where they can find you.
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at @CannonSpotter, and check out my own podcast. It's called Just Buy Less Coffee. It is available anywhere you listen to the podcasts. You will find it. Just Buy Less Coffee. You'll see my face, so you'll know it's me. It'll be great.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Folks, we appreciate you watching the show as always and encourage you to watch more because if you don't, we will send one of Elon Musk's creepy ass robots to come hang out at your house and do whatever it wants. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Catch you guys later. All right. Good shit.
Creepy threat. Creepy threat.
Yeah.